Alright everyone, wanted to do a video on the protests from yesterday and the general state of the club really, and where we're up to at the moment, the implications the protests could have or not, and how we move forward. First of all, any protest like the one that took place yesterday I think takes a lot of organising, so fair play to the people that did organise it. With previous protests I've become hugely frustrated in that when the 58 has tried to put something together, it's been really poorly attended. In terms of if it's been anything other than a march, it's been really poorly attended. So the 8 staying outside for 18 minutes against Aston Villa, there was a minimal amount of people compared to what was needed. It was probably before the 1958 actually, but the season when Fernandez signed and we were supposed to leave the ground on 68 minutes against Wolves, nobody left. The evidence points to the fact that the fan base is too apathetic to make too much of a difference. So I was interested to see what happened yesterday, albeit not particularly hopeful. And I was probably proved right, unfortunately, in that it seems to have been received quite well on social media, and amongst outlets that are reporting it, that it was well attended. Laurie Whitwell did a couple of pictures from what looks like the director's box, so you could see 3 sides of Old Trafford, and really there was it's barely anybody there. It looks between about 2,500 and 5,000 people, which out of 73,000 home fans is a real paltry amount. It's really poor. I'm by no means having a go at the people that did the protest and the ones that stayed. Fantastic. You're trying to take a stand. You're trying to make your feelings known, and you're trying to, I think, encourage the fans to kind of have their voice heard, and also make a visual representation that could have been quite powerful. But with that amount of people, it's just not very powerful and not very impactful, unfortunately. I imagine if you were there, it was probably amazing. It probably felt fantastic. You probably felt at least like you're doing something. But I have to say, again, I feel completely let down by my fellow fans. Steve from the 1958 was on the Stretford paddock earlier in the week and said, we're trying to kind of gauge how much the fans want this, and this is a good barometer. Let's see how many people stay behind. If I were them, I'd be thinking, what's the fucking point? Because you can arrange loads of well thought out protests. You can be a bit innovative. I thought it was quite a good idea to stay in the ground rather than to do something out of the ground. But if that's a barometer of the level of unrest amongst the fan base, it's minimal. You can't have, I've said this before, you can't have a United fan base. There's too many different fractions amongst the United fan base. 73,000 people in the stadium who support United, 3,000 yesterday who supported Forest. There's probably Forest fans there that feel stronger about the Glazers than some of the United fans. There's a split. There's a massive split, and unfortunately, and it's becoming an us against them for me, I'm afraid. The ones that really want to do something and the ones that can't be bothered. The ones that can't be bothered outnumber the ones that can be bothered. It really, to be honest, reminded me a bit of FC United yesterday. It's a group of people who are trying to convince the other people that we need to do something about this. And it's just like a diehard group of supporters who really desperately want change versus apathy and let's beat the traffic. There'll be all manner of excuses of why people had to go, and I'm sure some people had to go for genuine reasons, but I've got a 30th, it's pizza night tonight, it's promised the kid to take me to the cinema, blah 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 blah. I've said before, if you want change when what we're up against is the Glazers, you've got to make sacrifice. We're up against a group of people who don't live here, are incredibly thick-skinned, are partially oblivious, I think, as well. They are greedy, They're entitled, they're arrogant, they're uncaring pricks. And whenever the 58 or whoever it might be tries to arrange something to try and make a point, there's not enough people there, and then there's always somebody, and again I'm repeating myself, that says things like, well, what difference is that going to make anyway? Well, I've seen people again say it doesn't, even if you didn't have anyone in the ground, if you pay for your ticket, what difference does it make? Visual statements make a massive difference because they get to the sponsors, and that's so indirectly you get to the Glazers through the sponsors. If all hell breaks loose in the stadium and you've got, like, I don't know, the stewards are struggling to cope with it because there's so many people that have stayed behind and they're so vocal and they're so militant and they're so hostile, that gets into news outlets. Sponsors see that. Look how changeable the share price has been just because of rumour that the Glazers might be staying. So if you make a really strong visual statement with a protest, it will make an impact and it will hurt the Glazers. But it's never going to happen with this fan base. And I've got two problems with Man United. One, the main one, is the Glazers. They're absolutely the main problem. But then my other problem is with our own fan base, because I'm a person who thinks, okay, this is a problem that we need to remove, so what do we do about it? With a fan base, there's not enough people who want to do something about it. So then you're left with, right, what's your choice then? My choice is basically at the moment probably just stepping away from it, because it just winds me up. This isn't an exaggerated statement. The club's dying. The club that I can only speak for myself, that I grew to love and I associated with, is gone. And it will never come back while the Glazers are here. In the next 5 years, we could compete. We could be in the top 3 or 4. I don't think we will be, but we could be. But that'll be the limit of it. It'll be the top 3 or 4. We will never win a Premier League while the Glazers are our owners. Never. That won't happen again. We will never compete in the latter stages of the Champions League, bar maybe one fluke season where we get a few good draws or something like that. But in terms of sustainable success at the top end of the big tournaments, it's not going to happen under the Glazers. So if you are happy with that, then fair play to you. I am not happy with that, because we have got a ceiling on us as a club when we should be limitless. With who we are, with our background, with our history, with our fan base, with the shell of the stadium that we have and what we could do with that, with the very recent history that we've got, United are a behemoth of a football club that has huge potential to come back and be unstoppable. And if we got the right owners and we weren't doing doing as well, then you can kind of say, okay, fair enough, it's going to take a little bit of time, or it's not happening, but you can see that everyone's pulling in the right direction. The sole reason Manchester United won't be successful is because of the Glazers. And I have to say, it doesn't look like they're going anywhere. And if they stay, which it looks like they might, they're not going to change. They're not going to suddenly become even competent owners. They're not. Because they've proved that over the time that they've been here. They can't change. They don't know what to do to be good owners. And they've no motivation to be good owners. So if they stay, it's going to be more of the same. And we know what that produces. It produces mediocrity with the odd decent season here or there. And that there's no reason to think that that won't be what continues to happen. I thought this last night, and I had a few beers last night, and I did record a video actually, and I didn't post it. But when I look back today, I thought, yeah, Drunk Nick made a lot of sense there actually. We need to remove 2 people from our football club, because 4 of them want to go. Joel and Avram are the ones that don't want to go. We need to remove 2 people. Haven't United got 1 billion fans? So it's 1 billion versus 2. How the fuck are they winning this fight? because they've got all the power, they've got all the cars. No, they haven't. They haven't got any money. They're screwed. And do you know what? The longer this goes on, I don't even think they're going to get minority investment. I don't think they'll do anything. I think if they stay, they'll just stay. And I've always said they can't. But by the look of it, that is what's going to happen. They're just going to stay. And they're a bit like, give a shit. We'll just hang fire. We'll just hang fire until, in their deluded minds, we get in the World Club Cup, and that gives them this huge pot of money, which I'm sure it won't. We'll qualify for the Champions League every year. No, you won't, but you think you will. There's TV rights coming up in 8 years. But these idiots think that there's money to be made at United, and I honestly think they will just stay. That's my conclusion from looking at the last few weeks. And I've never thought that before because I thought they can't stay. But that's what it looks like. They will stay without any investment or anything. And they'll do the bare minimum to make the stadium safe. That's about it. Because there's no motivation for them to make Old Trafford a super stadium. Why would they? They don't care. I go back to... I still see it now. I still see it now in comments that people make. I go back to the comment that Stehausen's made it twice that I've seen. Other people have said it on Twitter and on YouTube fan channels and whatnot. You wait and see what happens if they're still here at the start of the season. What? Between 2,000 and 5,000 people stay in the seats and sing songs about them. I bet they're absolutely shitting themselves. So what? That's nothing. And I still see it, as I say now, in comments on YouTube videos or on Twitter. It's going to turn massively ugly if they stay. No, it's not. I said the other day, they have actively poked us with a giant stick and antagonised us over this last year. And nothing's changing. There's no more ferocity to the protest. There's no more hostility to it. It isn't getting uglier. It isn't getting bigger. It isn't growing its own set of legs. It's not. So, United fans sing, "We'll never die." I've got news for you people. We are dying. And if they stay, I don't know what has to happen. I don't know what has to happen before either they go or they're forced out. But what will have to happen is pretty much the club will just decay. And by the time then someone can come in and rescue us, the damage might be terminal. But hey, if you've got to get back to watch your DVD, you've got to get back to watch your DVD. Glazers out.